I never expected a phone call to completely upend my life, but that's exactly what happened. It was a cool, clear autumn afternoon in Chicago. When I saw my phone light up with an unfamiliar number, I almost ignored it, but something told me I should answer. When I did, the voice on the other end was unmistakable, even though years had passed. "Alexa, it's Daisy," she said, her tone dripping with an odd mix of formality and something I couldn't quite place. "Daisy," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. "What's going on?" Daisy, my estranged sister, had called to deliver the news that our grandmother had passed away. The news itself was shocking, but the way she spoke made it clear she had a hidden agenda. "I just wanted to let you know," she said, her voice tinged with a hint of mockery. "I'm sure you're busy with your modest life." I could almost hear her smirking through the phone. Her words stung, but I tried not to let it show. "Thank you for letting me know. I'll make arrangements to come." It wasn't just her words that stung, it was the memories they dredged up. Growing up, Daisy was always the golden child. She had our father's favor and a certain charm that seemed to make everything fall into place for her. As for me, I was often left in the shadows. Even though I tried my best to excel, my efforts seemed to be overlooked. Daisy and I hadn't spoken much in years. After she had stolen Harry from me, I cut ties with her and, by extension, with the rest of my family. It wasn't just about the betrayal. It was about how it highlighted the unequal treatment I had always felt. Harry Parker had been my fiancé. He was the love of my life, and we had a future planned together. That was until Daisy, with her manipulative charm, came into the picture. Harry had left me for her, and I had been devastated. It wasn't just a broken relationship. It was a betrayal that left deep scars. Our family had always been fractured. Our father, stern and unyielding, had favored Daisy for her resemblance to him. My mother, although caring, was often caught in the middle. She tried to show support, but it was clear that Daisy had always been the preferred child. I chose a different path after the breakup. I left my job as a school administrator to focus on raising my daughter, Emily. Peter, my husband, was a supportive tech executive who loved me for who I was. We had a cozy home in the suburbs and a life that, while modest, was filled with love. Emily, our 6-year-old daughter, was a bright spot in our lives. She had a passion for drawing and even had a popular YouTube channel where she shared her artwork with the world. Despite the success in my personal life, the call from Daisy brought back a wave of old emotions. The thought of returning to the family home for the funeral filled me with apprehension. I hadn't been there in years, and the memories were bittersweet. Our grandmother had always been a beacon of kindness in our family. She was the one person who had supported me unconditionally. Her death marked the end of an era, and now, with Daisy's call, it felt like I was being dragged back into a world I had tried to leave behind. I spent the next few days preparing for the trip. The thought of seeing Daisy again filled me with a mix of dread and anticipation. It wasn't just about the funeral, it was about facing the family dynamics that had shaped so much of my life. I couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to Daisy's call than just the announcement of our grandmother's passing. When the day of the funeral arrived, I found myself standing in front of the old family home. The house looked exactly as I remembered it, unchanged, and yet somehow different. It was as if the walls held the echoes of our childhood, the echoes of laughter, fights, dreams, and disappointments. Inside, the atmosphere was heavy with grief and nostalgia. I saw familiar faces, some filled with sorrow and others marked by hidden agendas. As I moved through the crowd, I caught sight of Daisy, her eyes scanning the room with a practiced indifference. She was surrounded by people who seemed to hang on her every word, her charm as potent as ever. I watched her with a sense of unease. Despite the years and the distance, it felt like we were still locked in the same old struggle. Daisy's presence was a stark reminder of the family dynamics that had always been a part of my life. In the middle of the ceremony, as the eulogies were being delivered, Daisy managed to corner me. "Alexa," she said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes, "it's been a while." I forced a smile in return. "Yes, it has. How have you been?" "Oh, you know," she replied, her voice dripping with false sweetness. Life has been interesting. I could sense the undercurrent in her words, the same old rivalry that had never truly faded. As I looked at her, I realized that this reunion was not just about mourning our grandmother. It was about confronting the past, the betrayals, and the choices that had shaped both of our lives. Little did I know, this encounter would set the stage for revelations that would challenge everything I thought I knew about my sister and our family. The days leading up to the funeral were filled with tension and unresolved feelings. I tried to focus on my family, Peter, Emily, and our daily routines, but it was impossible to ignore the looming reunion with Daisy and the family I had distanced myself from. The familiar yet painful echoes of the past were all too real. On the day of the funeral, the air was thick with grief and unresolved emotions. The family home was filled with relatives and acquaintances, all paying their respects. The house, with its worn charm, seemed to watch over us like an old friend holding secrets. The walls felt heavy with the weight of past arguments, laughter, and hidden truths. As I entered the living room, I felt Daisy's eyes on me. Her presence was as imposing as ever, her polished exterior masking the deep-seated rivalry that had always existed between us. It wasn't long before she approached me again, her smile now more genuine, but still carrying an edge. "I've been meaning to catch up," Daisy said, her voice carrying a note of curiosity. "It's been a while since we've had a chance to talk." I forced a smile, trying to keep my emotions in check. "Yes, it has. How have things been for you?" "Oh, you know," Daisy replied with a wave of her hand. "Busy, but good. I'm sure you've heard from the family about how things have been for me." I nodded, though I wasn't entirely sure what she was referring to. The last I had heard from our parents, Daisy was living a life of luxury in Los Angeles. The stories I heard seemed to paint a picture of success and perfection, but I knew better than to take them at face value. During the wake, Daisy made a point of flaunting her perceived success. She spoke of her life in Los Angeles, her upscale lifestyle, and her supposed achievements. It was as though she was trying to outshine everyone, to prove that her life was better than mine. I watched her with a mix of curiosity and irritation. I knew that beneath her confident facade lay a tangled web of lies and manipulations. It was hard to ignore how she spoke about Harry Parker, my former fiancé, and now her ex-husband. Her casual mentions of him, her attempts to show how unaffected she was by their failed marriage, felt like salt in an old wound. Harry had once been the center of my world. We had been planning a future together until Daisy, with her cunning and charm, had stolen him away. The betrayal had left me heartbroken and disillusioned. Seeing Daisy flaunt her life so casually was a painful reminder of the hurt I had tried to move past. I decided to confront her about the past, hoping to find some closure. As the crowd began to thin out, I pulled her aside into a quiet corner of the house. "Daisy, can we talk?" I asked, trying to keep my tone calm. She looked at me, her eyes narrowing slightly. "Of course. What's on your mind?" "I need to understand why," I said, struggling to keep my voice steady. "Why did you have to take Harry from me? What made you think you could just take him away?" Daisy's expression shifted from faux cheerfulness to something colder, more calculating. "Alexa, it's not about taking anything. Harry and I had our own connection. You just didn't see it." "You manipulated him," I said, my voice rising with emotion. "You knew how much I loved him." She shrugged nonchalantly. "Harry made his own choices. You have to move on, Alexa. Life doesn't wait for anyone." Her dismissive attitude was infuriating. "You never understood, did you? It wasn't just about Harry. It was about how you always seemed to have everything handed to you, while I was left struggling." Daisy's face hardened. "Don't blame me for your shortcomings. We all have our battles. Maybe if you had been more assertive, things would have been different." Her words felt like a stab in the dark, hitting all the old wounds that had never fully healed. I wanted to lash out, but I took a deep breath, trying to stay composed. This isn't just about Harry. It's about our family and how things have always been stacked against me. Before Daisy could respond, I was interrupted by the arrival of some distant relatives and had no choice but to step away, leaving the confrontation unresolved. The rest of the evening was a blur of faces and condolences, but my mind was occupied with thoughts of the past and the unresolved issues between Daisy and me. The next day, as the funeral came to a close, I felt a sense of both relief and apprehension. The family dynamics were as tangled as ever, and I knew there was more to uncover. Daisy's perfect life was beginning to crack, and I was determined to see the truth come to light. I left the funeral with a heavy heart, but a renewed sense of purpose. There was more to the story, and I was prepared to face it head-on. The confrontation had set the stage for deeper revelations, and I was ready to uncover the full extent of the lies and deceptions that had shaped our lives. The days following the funeral were filled with an unsettling calm. I found myself replaying my confrontation with Daisy over and over, seeking clarity in the chaos. It was clear that the family's underlying issues were far from resolved. My mother's apology, though appreciated, did little to mend the rift that had existed for years. Peter and Emily were my anchor during this tumultuous time. They sensed my distress, but chose to offer comfort rather than pry into my troubles. Emily, with her innocent curiosity, continued to pour her heart into her YouTube channel, sharing her drawings with the world. Her joy was a bright spot amidst the darkness. It wasn't long before the next chapter of this saga unfolded. Daisy, ever the drama queen, took to social media to mock me subtly. Her posts were veiled in sarcasm, presenting herself as the picture of success while implying that my life was dull and insignificant. It was frustrating to see her attempt to diminish my happiness in such a public way. That's when Emily's YouTube channel became a weapon in this battle. One evening, after a particularly cruel post from Daisy, Emily and I decided it was time to use her platform for more than just showcasing her drawings. I helped Emily create a video that countered Daisy's lies, focusing on the positive aspects of our life and subtly addressing the falsehoods Daisy was spreading. The video, while innocent on the surface, contained enough pointed references to make it clear that we were aware of Daisy's attempts to undermine us. It quickly gained traction, and soon the comment sections of both Emily's channel and Daisy's posts were flooded with reactions. People began to see Daisy's facade for what it was, an elaborate mask hiding insecurities and deceptions. As the video went viral, Daisy's reputation started to crumble. The social media backlash was swift and harsh. Comments pointed out the discrepancies in her stories and questioned her integrity. The spotlight she had so carefully crafted was now exposing her vulnerabilities. Meanwhile, Daisy's personal life began to unravel in parallel. Harry, struggling with the public fallout from our confrontation and the negative attention surrounding his and Daisy's failed marriage, made a significant error at work. It led to his dismissal from his position as a software engineer. The professional and personal pressure became too much for him, and he fell into a deep spiral of self-doubt, unable to cope with the financial and emotional strain. Daisy made a drastic decision. She filed for divorce, severing the final ties with Harry. Their son, James, became a casualty of this turmoil, and due to Daisy's unstable situation, he was placed into a care facility, a stark contrast to the privileged life she had once flaunted. The family dynamics were shifting rapidly. My mother, who had always been more sympathetic to me, approached with a heartfelt apology for the past. She admitted that her favoritism toward Daisy had been a mistake and acknowledged the hurt it had caused. "I'm sorry for everything, Alexa," she said, her eyes filled with regret. "We should have done better by you. I see now how much pain we've caused." I appreciated her words, but the scars of the past were not easily healed. I chose to maintain a distant but cordial relationship with her, focusing on what truly mattered, my family's happiness and well-being. In the midst of these revelations, Peter and I decided to take a break from the chaos. We planned a joyful outing to an amusement park, a chance for Emily to enjoy herself and for us to reconnect as a family. It was a reminder of the simple joys and the love we shared. The trip was everything we needed, a day filled with laughter and bonding. It reinforced the strength of our family and highlighted the content life we had built together. It was a much-needed respite from the drama, reminding me of the importance of moving forward with love and support. As we enjoyed the day, I realized that while the past had its shadows, the future held the promise of light. With Daisy's downfall and the family's apologies, I felt a sense of closure. The journey was far from over, but for now, I could focus on cherishing the present and looking forward to a brighter future. The weeks after our trip to the amusement park brought a profound sense of calm. My life, once shaken by familial discord, was finding its equilibrium again. As I looked around at my little family, I realized how much we had grown through all the trials. Daisy's downfall was a hard pill to swallow, but it was a reminder of the destructive power of envy and manipulation. Her failed attempts to belittle my life had only served to bring her own downfall into the spotlight. The divorce, the loss of her son to a care facility, and her diminishing reputation were harsh consequences of the path she had chosen. Harry, once a part of my life and now a figure of past regrets, faced his own set of challenges. His dismissal from his job had left him struggling to find his footing. Yet despite everything, there was a sense of detachment on my part. My focus had shifted entirely to my own family and the life we had worked so hard to build. Peter and I continued to nurture our relationship, finding strength in each other. Our daughter, Emily, thrived in her creative endeavors. Her YouTube channel remained a beacon of joy and positivity, helping to distract from the negativity that had surrounded us. Watching her grow and flourish was a constant reminder of what really mattered. One day, I received a letter from my mother. In it, she expressed her sorrow for the way things had unfolded and asked for forgiveness. Her apology was heartfelt, but I knew that mending our relationship would take time. I responded with kindness, acknowledging her regret while emphasizing the importance of moving forward. Our family dynamics had been altered permanently, but the experience had also brought clarity. My parents' favoritism toward Daisy and the subsequent fallout had taught me invaluable lessons about resilience and forgiveness. It was clear that healing from these wounds required more than just time. It required understanding and a willingness to let go of past grievances. In the quiet moments of reflection, I understood that the pain of the past had forged a stronger bond within my own family. Peter, Emily, and I were more connected than ever, and our shared experiences had deepened our appreciation for one another. We found solace in our daily routines and the small moments that brought us joy. As summer turned to fall, I began planning a new project, one that would honor the lessons learned and the family we had become. I started a community initiative focused on helping families navigate conflicts and build stronger relationships. It was a way to turn my experiences into something positive, offering support and guidance to others who might be facing similar challenges. Looking back, I saw how far we had come from those turbulent days. The confrontation at our grandmother's funeral, the subsequent revelations, and the social media battles had all led to a profound transformation. Daisy's story was a cautionary tale, but it was also a testament to the strength of my own resolve and the importance of moving forward with love. As I closed the final chapter of the story, I felt a sense of closure. The journey had been arduous, but it had also been enlightening. The road ahead was filled with promise, and I was ready to embrace it with an open heart. In the end, it was the love of my family and the lessons learned that had guided me through. With Peter by my side, Emily's laughter brightening our days, and the community project taking shape, I knew the future was ours to shape. As I looked forward, I carried with me the certainty that, no matter what challenges lay ahead, our family's strength and unity would guide us through.